When talking about Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, there's a few things that should be stated up front about the game. It is the first game developed by Sledgehammer Games, leading the charge with the myriad of Activision studios assisting, and it is the first Call of Duty to take a dramatic change in how gameplay is outside of the setting. You also gotta know that Kevin Spacy is a major role in the game, as he plays the character Jeremy Irons. It is terrible to know about the news that came out about Kevin Spacy, but you can't discuss anything about the campaign without bringing him up. Advanced Warfare was in development for 3 years by Sledgehammer Games, and it shows that they took their time to make something different. They upped the visuals dramatically for the new generation of consoles, introduced a vastly different movement system that allows players to double jump, slide dash, and even at times grapple or use a back grip to get up walls. Compared to the previous games, this is entirely new, other than the basis of it being a Call of Duty game. Not everyone was happy with the change, as it got a bunch of fans upset for not being like the typical games that they were used to all these years. But for the other group of fans and newcomers, this was a much needed and refreshing change. I remember at the time seeing the reveal, I was honestly blown away. I thought visually it looked stunning. The new options with mobility made it worthwhile to get. I even went to pre-order it just to get a special poster for the game that I still have to this day. But is the game still worthwhile after all these years, and does the multiplayer still hold up? Short answer, yes and no, and I'm shocked at how mixed I am at this game returning to it after all this time. I even checked to see the trophies and saw I perfected the game and got the platinum, and had fond memories still about the story, but we'll get to that now.
We come into this world with our eyes closed, and most of us choose to live our whole lives that way. We blindly follow anyone who will lead us, giving ourselves over to anything that provides us with a sense of purpose. For me, it was the Marines. I had enlisted 6 months ago with my best friend, Will. Now we were a half world away, being deployed into South Korea. We were brothers in arms. No matter how bad it got, I could always count on him to keep me in line.
Cheer up, Mitchell. Can't be all that bad.
It's just finally starting to sink in.
No, this is what we signed up for.
Well, the old man was a leatherneck, so I didn't really have much of a choice.
Yeah? I joined up because of the old man, too. More just to get away from him.
I can't get much further away than this.
All right! Listen up! We have our orders. Inserting an LZ Epsilon. Down and dirty just like we taught you. Everybody know what's going on? Everybody know they're going! Hoorah! Everybody ready? Hoorah! Let's do this! Mitchell, Irons, lead out!
Let's get it done.
North Korea was invading Seoul. We had to push him back. This wasn't just a mission. It was an initiation.
Units, this is Spaceman, commencing drop in on mic.
Badger 01, standing by.
All pods, set to engage. Copy, dropping at grid 3159er. Repeat, 3159er. Cross-checked and verified.
Everybody hold tight. Here we go.
Just like in training, Mitchell.
We were first shown the opening cutscene introducing the player character, Mitchell, and his best friend, Will Irons. Mitchell is portrayed by Troy Baker, I believe his visual likeness as well, and does a pretty good job at his role like usual. You're informed about how North Korea invaded South Korea, and you're going to go help defend. This scenario used to seem more and more likely to happen as the years have gone by, but thankfully not anymore. You also see the first change in what technology has done to the world and how much it changed the military. Everyone is wearing an exosuit, and that gives the person in it more abilities to move around, as well as seemingly more defense. You then drop down from the drop pod and are already introduced that this isn't exactly going to be like the previous Call of Duties, other than the quick time event at the beginning. The goal of the first mission is to regroup with the rest of the squad and eventually destroy a future helicopter. The main purpose of this level is to introduce the player to all the shiny new gadgets that they'll be using for a majority of the game, other than the fact that the double jump isn't always active. At the end of the mission, you are with Will when he set a charge on the aircraft, as it gets stuck on Will's arm and he pushes you to safety. He's then killed, and a piece of the debris hits you and rips your left arm off. No more military from Mitchell. The next mission starts with the funeral of Will Irons and serves as the introduction to Jeremy Irons, the character played by Kevin Spacy, and how advanced his company Atlas is compared to the rest of the road. But first, you have to press a button to pay respects to your fallen friend, Will. I don't understand why they made this part needed to have you interact with it when they could have just had it happen automatically. They received some hate because of the on-screen prompt that says press square to pay respects. It's stupid, but it's done quickly at least. Irons then gives you a business card and offers you a chance to a better future, an arm, and a way back into the fighting if you go to Atlas.
Okay, everyone knows what to do this time. Get into position.
Just like that, you have an arm and are in a scenario that has you needing to save the president. If you pay attention at the immediate dialogue and look around, something seems off, but you may not really notice on your first playthrough. This is a training scenario and your arm causes you to fail. You then are shown around Atlas, have a training scene with a combat and grenades, and try the scenario again, but slightly altered. You then get clear to go into active duty when the time comes.
Looks like we have an operator on our hands.
He's getting there, sir.
He's ready for some real work. Good job, son. Welcome to Atlas.
After Korea, I thought I was done, but Irons gave me something to believe in. It's one thing to get your foot in the door. Next, you gotta prove you belong there. I got my first chance 2 months later.
Just over 12 hours ago, Nigerian Prime Minister Samuel Abadoyo was taken hostage while attending an international technology summit in Lagos. We believe this to be the work of the KVA, a leading anti-Western terrorist organization founded by former Chechen separatists. The location and true identity of its leader, codenamed Hades, remains unknown. While the motivation for this abduction is unclear, it is in keeping with a series of bolder attacks attributed to the KVA over the past several years. Your mission is to link up with host nation forces under the command of Captain Ajani and effect the immediate release of the PM.
You get introduced to the first major act of the game and villain, Hades. He has taken hostages of some leaders and is using a group called the KVA to attack. You are tasked with saving the hostages, including one that was captured who needs to be found later in the level and rescued. This level is one of the great showpieces of the game, as you are constantly doing something different. From climbing the wall with mag grips, using a mute charge, every few minutes is something different. After saving the hostages, you learn about a van that you need to find and rescue the hostage. And this part is pretty cool. You jump through traffic and on top of buses that for some reason are always about to explode as another one happens to pull up. You learn about a plan that the KVA are planning to destroy a nuclear power plant, and you are tasked with stopping this from happening. This level is rather generic but still flashy. You make your way to the facility, kill everyone in your path, and then you get to the end, you realize that it's too late. The whole place is going to go down, and you too if you don't escape. You rush out and the whole place comes down, and you learn that this has happened all over the world at the same time. And just like that, the road is in trouble, but Atlas is here to help everyone.
This just in, you're looking at what is obviously a very disturbing live shot there. That is the Vectron Pacific reactor near Seattle. We have unconfirmed reports.
CDC has ordered evacuation of all non-essential personnel within a 5-mile radius of downtown
begun distributing potassium iodide tablets.
This is coming in live. It is raw footage. Appears to be some kind of statement from the KVA leader, Hades.
My fellow citizens of the world, today you are afraid. You are afraid because you have been woken from your sleep.
There are some days we never forget. Moments burned into our memory until the day we die. Where were you the day everything changed? 4 years ago, one man tried to destroy our way of life. One man tried to throw the world into darkness. It felt like we could never find our way back. But we did. Together. When you were vulnerable, we gave you our strength. When you were sick, we delivered you the cure. When there was chaos, we brought you order. Stability, safety, a chance to start again. Who are we? we're the way forward.
With that, 4 years have passed, and you are now in Detroit. It may seem like current day Detroit, but it's a little worse. You see the camps that people are now in order to survive, and briefly hear that everyone needs a chip placed in them to help protect them, and I guess help them. This is off to the side, but it's interesting to see rather early in the game. You learn about a Kva Patrol that is rather close to the camp, and you are tasked with finding them. This is a cool visual ride on some hover bikes here as well. After clearing out the forces, you are tasked with finding a doctor who would know where Hades has run off to, and bring him back to the camp. On the way, you also see some predator-looking allies who help save you and then go about their business. You learn about the whereabouts of Hades and are tasked with getting him with Alona, who I think is the worst voice acting in the game, but it may be because of her forced Russian backstory needing to talk in an American accent, but she sounds bored 100% of the time. You cover a group infiltrating a building Hades is believed to be in and take him out, but it is a decoy. You then rush to find the real Hades who is in a convoy trying to escape. This mission is rather basic, but once you capture him, Hades informs you with his last breath that Irons knows and hands Alona a USB drive.
Irons knows.
What does Irons know?
The next mission, Alona calls you and Gideon over to see what was on the USB drive, and who would have guessed, Jeremy Irons is the bad guy, and he planned for all this to happen.
Sync to my HUD, I have to show you something.
Bloody hell's going on?
Just watch this. That's Irons, with the technologist you saved.
The guy we pulled from the river.
He never made it back to Nigeria.
Kva are planning an attack. He told me everything.
What kind of attack?
Power plants all over the world. They wanted me to compromise the security systems.
Where are they planning on hitting?
Seattle, Paris, Tokyo. Thousands will die. We have to tell someone.
No. We have to tell everyone. It's okay, it's all right. I'm gonna take care of this right now. Fuck, Ray.
He knew it. He knew and he let it happen. All those people dead and he fucking profited from it.
Where did you get this?
Hades. His last act before he died was giving us this.
He then takes you down and leaves with Gideon, but you are able to escape with the help of an unknown ally talking to you in your comms. Once you escape with Alona, you learn that this is your old sergeant, Cormac. The rest of the game is to try and discover what Manticore is and to stop Atlas.
You've got questions. It's time for some answers. Until now, we've stayed in the shadows, watching, waiting. We were formed 4 years ago. A US-led multinational unit, codename Sentinel. Our mission, to investigate the Kva attacks and prevent anything like that from ever happening again. But soon it became clear that there was an even greater threat. A man ready to exploit this tragedy for his own gain. After the attacks, Atlas rose to new heights. It took over security for ports, shipping lanes, pipelines. Nation after nation handed over their most critical infrastructure to Johnathan Irons. We realized too late he was surrounding us. But now in the last 10 days, ISA chatter has surged. One word keeps getting flagged. Manticore. Atlas is about to make a move, but we don't know what. It was a risk extracting you, but you're our best shot to find out what Manticore is and stop it. So how about it, Mitchell? Are you in?
The first mission has you attempt to sneak around the facility with a grapple hook, and I remember this mission being long, but the stealth part took around 5 minutes at most. You learn about where the weapon Manticore is going, and you have to move to intercept it. Once you do, it is also being defended from Atlas, and this mission is just fighting while being saved by Gideon at the end. Your next goal is to stop more of this from being made, find out where one of the places Irons plans to attack next, and essentially stop him.
Never mind.
Clear.
Get on that console. Okay, boys. Rip the room. Drives, data packs, anything interesting. You know the drill.
Kingpin, commencing SSE. Uplink to follow.
Standing by to receive
Dapper
package.
Grandpa, those two over there. Bingo, we have the package transmitting.
Uplink confirmed.
All right, burn it down.
I am honored to be the first CEO of a private corporation to become a member of the United Nations Security Council. Unfortunately, my appearance today has been clouded by a flurry of speculation that my company is developing a weapon of mass destruction which would be capable of targeting specific ethnic groups. I want to address these allegations head on. Are we developing such a weapon? No, we are not. Because we've already developed it. But with all due respect, the United Nations is a relic from a different time when nations were unique in their ability to solve the world's problems. But that just isn't the case anymore. Primarily because you have outsourced the job to me. I have sent people to die in your wars. So I feel uniquely qualified to tell you, your wars don't work. Which is why my priorities have changed from profits to policy. Because politicians don't know how to solve problems. But I do. So let's be clear. I am here to solve the world's problems. And I believe the world's problems begin with you.
Unfortunately, it is too late after he makes his attack on San Francisco, but he stopped most of the attack before it is too late. Since these games like to have a flying sequence in them lately, you fly a jet through a cannon in a mission that seems extremely like it's on rails and nothing can happen to you, but you have relatively full control and it looks cool even though all you do is keep shooting and avoid rocks. Once you attempt to get where Irons is, he unleashes Manicore in the area, and you, Alona, and Gideon are unaffected. Since you have the chip that all Atlas employees have that was mentioned earlier in the game, the weapon doesn't hurt you, but you are captured. This mission has you escape a prison that has Atlas people killing everyone inside, so it kind of defeats the purpose of it being a prison. Due to having one functioning hand at this point, you have to keep picking up weapons as you escape, but thankfully just about every weapon happens to have extended mags to help the mission go smoothly. At the end of this mission, Cormac dies, and you agree to do a full-on assault with everyone else to defeat Atlas and Irons. The finale has you doing the assault, stop a rocket, and confront Irons. I dislike this mission due to you being in a heavy suit since it's basically just a walking tank, and that takes most of the fun out of the game's strong suit, the mobility. Once you destroy the rocket, Gideon helps you get to safety when you finally find Irons, who turns off your rig that helps you fight. You eventually get the release switch to help you chase him down. And in the good climax, you have Jeremy Irons hanging on the destroyed arm above a giant fire at the bottom of the building, and you have to cut off the arm to have him fall. It is a good climax, and perhaps I like it more due to it being similar to how Die Hard ended. Gideon comes up to you at the end and says that this is just a start and credits roll. Unfortunately, this is the only game in the series as well, and doesn't have a story continuation. Overall, the campaign was a blast other than the mission set on San Francisco Bridge and the beginning part of the finale. It was nice to be able to upgrade the character to finally have faster reloads when playing the single player, and the characters and story arc was something that I didn't expect to see out of a Call of Duty title. If you're looking for a fun few hours, this is a good return, but then there's the multiplayer. I played a few matches before recording for this, and for those, it wasn't bad at all. No latency other than 2 times when the game pitched up, but other than that, no performance issues unlike from Ghost. Being able to dash around corners and surprise people was enjoyable. And then there was the matches I did for the recording. There was a decent amount of latency. I noticed for the time to kill was actually rather high, and seemingly poor spawns that have you shot in the back. I did not enjoy going back to this multiplayer, which is strange because I remember when I first played this, I had a great time with it, and got up to level 28. That's not high at all compared to how much time people put into these online portions, but for me, that is a decent amount of time, even with me being in college at the time of release. But going back to it all these years later, I don't see a reason to touch this part of the game. There's also a survival mode and zombies. I didn't get a chance to go back to these 2 parts due to not finding a match. I remember the survival mode being fun back in the day, but not being able to check it out now, I am still unsure of how these modes hold up. Advanced Warfare was a definite nice change of pace for what came before. They changed the entire way that you move, let you be able to slightly modify your character during the campaign, and had a worthwhile villain that you got to see change some over time. You saw how he got so powerful, and how he was able to formulate his plan from context clues, his acting, by how fast he received the power. To this day, Advanced Warfare is still one of the greatest campaigns in this franchise, and up there with the Modern Warfare series as well as Black Ops, and Sledgehammer did a great job with their first attempt, even though this caused a small split in the fanbase. This did, however, affect sales as it was below Ghost and shows that they are having a steady decline as time is moving on, but Activision didn't seem too worried yet, as their next game continues the fan favorite series, while Sledgehammer Games began development to go back to the series' roots for the future title.